watch, but it's 5 years too late by the time that number shows. So I'm glad you asked that question, because somebody might go to their doctor and say, I just listened to someone talking about cellular inflammation, and he'd say, oh, well, we can give you a CRP test and check it. Well, yeah, you can, but he might not know that when he sees that number high, it's been high for quite a long time.
And what does CRP stand for?
C-reactive protein.
Reactive protein. Okay.
I believe I get mine done every year, and I don't believe it's an expensive test. The most expensive blood test I get is the vitamin D, so I think it's affordable, and everybody should really consider it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit how we got to the testimonial part of what's going to happen today. I had given a talk, and maybe some of you were at that talk about omegas a few months ago. And I was really wanting to talk about the difference between the Shaklee Omega Guard and omegas that you could get on the market. That was my intention for that. So most of my research was on that subject right there. And if you were here, I was able to show you a freezer test. Did you need some?
No, I'm just making sure everybody's...
Okay, good.
I'm sorry.
I thought you might have had a question, and you're welcome to have one. And you're welcome to listen, too. So I was trying to share with everyone that not all omegas are created equally. And you certainly don't want to just choose an omega off the shelf and think that you're doing the right thing, because they have mercury and BCBs in them, too. And so there was a freezer test that I brought, and we showed how you could take, we had a couple of different store-bought omegas, and we put them in the freezer in a little shot glass, and in a couple of hours they became very cloudy, whereas the Shaklee one stayed clear. And when you put a toothpick in it, it was hard, and the Shaklee one, purified omega does not freeze, and it does not get cloudy. The cloudiness is indicating that it does have contaminants in it, and if it freezes, it's indicating that it's not just omega. There's something else in that little capsule besides that could freeze. And so that research was last conversation, but it took me down this road of finding out that this Dr. Barry Sears had done a lot of research on omegas and brain injury. And so he did that research with retired NFL players. And, well, they have a lot of brain injury. And they also have a lot of illness, and they had similar illness, and they also had a lot of dementia, and they had a lot of anxiety and anger and all these things that he thought was such a common thread, and used them as a test group. Really dosed them. He actually used a therapeutic dose of 10,000 IUs of omegas for 6 months, and saw a huge improvement. So that was really interesting to me. So then that kind of took me further to how, the bottom of his page and his footnotes took me to another. And I came upon that 80% of migraines were caused from inflammation. And 2 and 2 did equal 4. My daughter had suffered 15 years with migraines, 3 or 4 weeks sometimes, and serious migraines. I don't know if any of you know anyone. Yeah, it is. Well, and here I am. She's been on Shaklee her whole life. I'm very nutritionally inclined. I am, oh, Katie, we need to, try some more of this, and you need more B's. And she was getting healthy, but she was still getting migraines. And for the life of me, I was not coming up with an answer until I traveled through a lot of Dr. Barry Sears' clinicals and found out that 80% of migraines were caused from inflammation. And I went, wait a minute, that's what I'm studying. And what if we could reduce the inflammation and she could actually get rid of migraines? Well,
I was getting them, but I was waking up in the morning and I wake up in the head.
yeah, and that was one of the indicators.
Okay, so then I go throughout the day and I avoid caffeine, you know, I try to modify my diet, and then at around 3 or 4 o'clock, it was just like, it was really bad. So, I don't know.
And and that came up in my research about inflammation, the 80% of migraines that are caused from inflammation, and I didn't want to tell Katie that the other 20% are indicative that there's something really wrong, particularly with a brain stem, or it could be brain tumor, and I was like, please, I'm not telling her that part. We're just talking about the 80%. I did say to you, I don't want you to fall in the 20%, so we're not going to talk about the 20%. And she did say, well, what would it be if it was 20%? I said, we're not going there. So we started Katie in a therapeutic dose of...
and this is Katie.
Yes, this is
Yeah,
Katie.
I'm Katie, by the way.
5,000 IU of omega a day, every day. And in the beginning...
Forget to take it.
She'd forget, right.
And then I get the migraine.
Yeah, in the beginning, and you know, I'd say, well, so how are you doing? Twice she forgot. Only twice. That's not a whole lot. But the migraine came back. But so then we kept, I kept, encouraging her never to forget. And of course, the headache was an encouragement never to forget. And after a few months of the therapeutic dose, she was able to go on a maintenance dose. That's the thing about inflammation. You can bring it down and you can maintain it. You can, and you'll know that if Katie was to get a migraine again, she'd know that the inflammation was back and she'd have to go back to a therapeutic dose. But inflammation's a funny thing like that. It's kind of like, I guess the best way to explain that, it's kind of like blood sugar. You can bring your blood sugar down and you can maintain it. You can just, you would think that she'd have to stay on that therapeutic dose, but she doesn't. And I think that if she was older, she might have a different experience. Her youth is on her side. So, Katie, what's it like to not have migraines?
It's like a different world. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to get a headache. My job, I do 12-hour shifts, and I don't have time to have a migraine. I have to take care of people, so I have to be on my game. So I love it. It's a change, definite change. My mood is better, my attitude is better, the way I feel is completely different.